second we reflecting with the blanket. This look like my fucking weapon. Wouldn't trade it to be right now. That's a hate. I got the right and put the devil redefining work. No, I don't work the phone. I need it. Make the dough and they create the flow. They think they making know what they forsake is so essential. Movement mentals get your issue. Guess who's on this instrumental picture? It's a damn if we was fam, leave you unread and call it spam. I'm not a fan of Antichrist, they slay the man, I sway the damn like here I am, the son of Sam, take the shot that they've been talking with. Pussy. A different discipline exists, the thing is New York State of not 6'6". I know not the actor, but the theories have been not one thing in mind to grind until this gavel turns his words to murder from battle. Frontline 69, now follow protocol. This kingdom built on godly bones, so I can't love this all, and I can't fuck with y'all. I ain't gotta say it twice, you vouching for the enemy, but look, my father ain't have a father, cause of dope, I'm anti politics, cause Christ died from a vote. The richest nation locked the homeless up for being cold. How ironic they related, so believe to get it stoned. You trim your ways and seek a love. I'ma bring this sword back wet with a vest of dipped in blood. Niggas giving up when they don't even give enough. Going nowhere fast, niggas always in a rush. I give them love cause my brother's lost. Christians eating watch they brothers starve. No way I can serve another God. I give my love cause my brother's lost. Christians eating watch they brothers starve. I can't serve another God. You know that you are.
Right. Good. Shalom, Israel. We are the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. I'm Precinct Officer 5000 Kasar Pakad. It's a Wednesday night law class, right? It's a lot I was going to say. It's a Thursday night scripture breakdown. You know what day it is. It's the Wednesday night law class at ISUPK. That's what we do. Tuesday night is brotherhood. Wednesday night is the law class. The title of tonight's class is The Laws of God Are Not a Religion. And that's what they reduced the Bible to be, a book, a religious book surrounding religious dogma. So let's see what religion is, definition of religion. First one says, obviously, the belief and worship of superhuman powers, especially a god or gods, ideas about the relationship between science and religion, particular system of faith and worship, pursuit of interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance. Consumerism is the new definition. Okay, there it is. Might be a little bit closer. So what? Merriam-Webster Dictionary says a personal set or institutional system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices, the service and worship of God, state of a religious. So all these things is basically, I'm gonna go to the next word too, dogma. All right, but see what that means. Dogma is also something held as an established opinion, a code of such tenets, a point of view or tenet put forth as authoritative without adequate grounds, a doctrine or body of doctrines concerning faith or morals formally stated and authoritatively proclaimed by a church. So, what does that mean when you have religious dogma? You got these things that are claimed by these institutions as to be something that is supposed to be valid when really is just an opinion, when really is just some traditions that you have added to what the Bible says that are not there. Like going over last week, Easter, Christmas, um, any of these things, Halloween, they celebrating Halloween in the Christian church, right? Let me go ahead and get that precept right now, man. Go to the book of Mark, chapter 7, and verse 9. We're going to go to the book of Mark, chapter 7, verse 9. This is what they were doing in the Bible days. They started to turn this thing that we do, this thing of ours, into a religion, right? When in reality, the laws of God were not set down to be this religious dogma that people are following, these traditions and opinions that people keep, that they think is about worshiping the Lord, when it's really about them making up their own traditions to have people to follow them, to have people obey them, to also to cater to other people and give them what they want. So what am I saying by that? When you got Christmas and Easter, at this time period, people were worshiping these gods and these religions in their own time, in their own culture. And in order to welcome these people in or have them accept the Bible, they catered to them and let them bring their culture and represent the Christian church, represent this Bible. They layered it on top of what the Bible actually teaches. They brought in Christmas, which is the worship of Nimrod, the cutting down the trees, all these things. They have been doing these things for years. They translated it and changed a few names or moved it around. They call it synchronizing. It's called synchronization, where they try to, if that's right, syncretic religions. I don't know if it's called synchronizing or syncretic. Syncretic. Syncretism, all right, is the practice of combining different beliefs in various schools of thought. Syncretism involves the merging or assimilation of several originally discrete traditions, especially in theology and mythology of religion, thus asserting an underlying unity and allowing for an inclusive approach to other faiths. Right? It's all about inclusiveness, including bringing together all these different faiths. You believe this, you believe that, but we can just put it together, have a mashup of a religion, and make it become one. All right, so let's see. We can already go. It says the Kushite kings who ruled Upper Egypt for approximately a century and the whole Egypt for approximately 57 years developed a syncretic worship identifying their own god, Didum, with the Egyptian Osiris. They maintained that worship even after they had been driven out of Egypt. So they, like we were talking about this last week, where they all have the same root. It's not just they're synchronizing and putting these things together. In reality, they know it actually comes from the same root because the Cushites and the Egyptians were brothers. The Cushites and the Egyptians come from Ham. They were related to Nimrod and the people that developed Babylon. So all their gods have the same root and same history. And it's all, coming from them worshiping Satan. It also says syncretism was common during the Hellenistic period, with rulers regularly identifying local deities in various parts of their domains with the relevant god or goddess of the Greek pantheon as a means of increasing their cohesion of the kingdom. Okay, this is interesting right here, right? I didn't even know. I didn't even look this up before right now. I just thought of this right now and just looked it up. It says this practice was accepted in most locations, but vehemently rejected by the Jews, who considered the identification of Yahweh, as it says right here, but we know it's talking about Yahweh, with the Greek Zeus as the worst of blasphemy. So that's what always separated us from these other nations. They've always been trying to combine, come together, unite, and I'll get that precept next, where we show that was in the Greek culture in the book of Maccabees. But let me go ahead and get this one about traditions first. So where we're at, I think, is Mark 7 and we'll start at go up a little bit, verse 8. Let me go a little bit higher. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. We'll start at verse 1. The book of Mark, chapter 7 and verse 1. Then came together unto him the Pharisees and certain of the scribes, which came from Jerusalem. And when they saw some of his disciples eat bread with defiled, that is to say, with unwashed hands, they found fault. So even that, when it said that they were eating the bread with defiled hands, their hands weren't really defiled. Because defiled means that it was literally unclean, right? Like defiled is when we talk about you eating pork, like your flesh has been defiled, it has become unclean because of what you've done. But this is just, your hands have some dirt on it, or you know what I mean? Just not as clean as they could be, right? For the Pharisees and all the Jews, except they wash their hands off, eat not, holding the tradition of the elders. So they had come up with this tradition. It became part of our culture that we didn't eat without washing our hands, which in one essence is showing how us as Israelites had a very clean culture, and I grew up the same way. We used to come into the house. Grandma always say, go wash your hands, wash your face. Before you eat, you wash your hands. These things have always been a part of Black and Hispanic culture, Native American culture, right? Shalom, Yahweh Shai Bakathum to to Trooper I wore Palat. And also, you got to figure out how to change that main name up. And also, Shalom, Yahweh Shai Bakathum to Mathamya, all the brothers out there. Shalom, Yahweh Shai Bakathum, Shai to all the sisters as well. All right? And shout out to the sisters out there that's keeping it One West, old school One West, man. They got to bring that back. You know what I mean? The property and rib of Precinct Officer 5K Malabar, man, an excellent brother from New Orleans out there, man. When I came into this zone, into the UPK, that was the first zone that I was in, you know what I mean, in Louisiana, reporting the classes out there. I think I called Officer Malabar first, and he gave me Officer Wanyala's number, started to go into class over the phone, locking in with them brothers out there, man, and I haven't looked back since, but that's an excellent brother, and they said he will be known in the gates he's obviously raising up a amazing sister as well, man. So shout out to him and her for keeping our culture as well, because that's one thing that we have always said. I know, hey, I'm not sure if some sisters don't know, don't show, or just don't care, man, but that's the way we was raised up, man. You are the property of your husband. That's not a bad thing. Don't let anyone else sway you into thinking that's a bad thing to say. You should say that proudly, because that is in the Bible, man. He that getteth a wife getteth a possession. And we care and love our families, our property, our wives, man. And it's not, see, a lot of things that I'm going on a little sidebar, man, but that just reminded me that, because I always wanted to, talk about that, because when you hear slavery and that we're going to have slaves in the kingdom, what do you think? You think of what the Edomites did to us in slavery, raping women, raping children, raping men, you know what I'm saying, branding people, abusing people, all of these things. That's what you think of when you hear slavery. But that's not what we're saying when we're talking about the enslavement of our oppressors. We're not going to deal with them and treat them the same way they treated us. We have order, we have laws, we have righteousness, we have a certain way of carrying ourselves. It's the same thing. When they come up with all this toxic masculinity, they're talking about Edomite masculinity, which is toxic masculinity, because it's really about a whole bunch of molesting women, beating women. That's what they were doing back in, you watch the 1950s movies, they always slapping a woman. They always, in the 1980s, you were seeing the movies, they were always just grabbing women, touching women, you know what I'm saying? Being absolute animals towards women. And our women start watching these things be manifested, and they say, okay, this is toxic masculinity. No, that's the white man's masculinity. That's not true masculinity. True masculinity can be found in this Bible. The real way slavery is supposed to be done is how we're going to do it in the kingdom. The real way, when you hear this word property, your mind thinks, a lot of people in the world, they think of the white man's version of that. That it sounds like some old 1800. Nah, that's not how we get down in the truth, man. What did Christ say? He that is a leader is one that is a servant. You understand? He that is a leader is the one that's willing to sacrifice for his sheep, for his flock, right? Christ said that we were bought at a price. We're property of Christ. And we say it proudly because we know who our leader and our king is and what a righteous man that is. This is why we're able to follow and obey and submit to the men above us, to the Most High. You understand? It's the same thing that we ask of our sisters. And it's a beautiful thing when you really understand what that really means. So shout out to her once again. But Salaki, I digress. Let's go back into here real quick. We're going to go to Mark chapter 7 and verse 3 again. For the Pharisees and all the Jews, except they wash their hands off, eat not, holding the tradition of the elders. And when they came from the market, except they wash, they eat not. And many other things there be, which they have received to hold, as the washing of cups and pots, brazen vessels, and of tables. These things are all right. Nothing wrong with cleaning your plate and your pots before you eat, washing your hands before you eat. Then the Pharisees and scribes asked him, why walk not thy disciples according to the tradition of the elders, but eat bread with unwashed hands? So now they become superstitious. The way they're looking at this is like something evil is going to happen because they didn't wash their hands, that the Lord is going to be against them because they didn't wash their hands. Now they're superimposing their tradition, their dogma on the Lord, which that's not what he ever said. He never said that. Verse 6, he answered and said unto them, will have Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, this people honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. This is a very heavy precept. This is what you see in the Christian church all of the time. You're going to see Black and Hispanic men and women honoring the Lord with our lips, with our speech, with our words. Like I said, you can go to any Christian church on any Sunday and you're going to hear the word Jesus and Lord and God 115,000 times in that church service. Every other word is Jesus, Lord, or God, right? But that's just lip service. That's just talking. You understand? It's not from their heart or from their mind. It's not genuine because their actions do what? Their actions speak louder than their words, right? Howbeit, in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. They are teaching that this doctrine that they've created is a commandment of God. That's creating a religion. Now you're going into a religion. Now it's superstition. Now it's syncretism, whatever you want to call it, right? You're adding something and mixing something and blending something and making something that is not there, right? For laying aside the commandment of God, ye hold the tradition of men, as the washing of pots and cups and many other such like things. And he said unto them, fool ye, reject the commandment of God, that ye may keep your own tradition. For Moses said, honor thy mother and thy father, and whoso curseth father or mother, let him die the death. But ye say, if a man shall say to his father or mother, it is korban, that is to say, a gift by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, he shall be free. So what is all this saying? Is that the actual laws of God you don't keep, you don't follow. What's some things that the Christians do that they think Christians, here goes one all the time. You hear it all the time. The Christian church, for one, they say, just like they had the issue last week with the sister Candace Owens. God is good. God is good when? All the time, God is good. That's the Christian statement. It's well known, it's well renowned. Where is that in the Bible? It's not there. They made it up. You say it, you believe it, and you live by it. You are in this religious belief, but it's not in the Bible. It's not in the laws of God. And you're basing your life off of some tradition that people have. It's really not beneficial to you at all. And it's really destroying you. But you don't really look into the book to find it. You just accept it because so many people say it. What's another example? People say, come as ye are. They're always talking about some come as you are, come as you are, come as you are to church, not even understanding what that really means. Right. Let me see. Right. And so that's exactly, it's not in the Bible, right? They say they come. Exactly. They try to use certain verses to say this is there, but that is not even in the Bible. It's Matthew 11. Come to me, all who are weary. Come, all you who are thirsty. These different things they try to say. I don't know where they get this from. This is not in the book. It never has, never will be, but every Christian knows it. Every Christian lives by it. Come as ye are. That means you're supposed to leave the strip club dressed in the same outfit that you went to the strip club last night in, and you sisters can walk around the church like that. And then the next week you come to church wearing similar outfits, looking like a streetwalker. You can come to church. You can come to church as a flaming rainbow person, and nothing be wrong with that. No, that's not in the Bible. That's your tradition. That's what you've added. But what you do in the Christian church, you're going to eat pork there. You're going to tell everybody, come as you are, which is not in the Bible, but you're going to have pork and crab dinners at the church. I've seen that. I'm like, damn, they stepped it up. They having a whole crab fest, crab boil at the church. Invite you to do that. inviting you to break the laws of God, but they'll teach you this vain concept or doctrine that has nothing to do with the Lord. So that's exactly what they were doing back then. This is the beginnings of this. This is what is starting to happen. You know what I mean? And so he's checking these brothers for that. He's saying, you could tell your mother and father in their old age, instead of honoring them by taking care of them and making sure they have what they need, whatever you do for them is good enough. It doesn't matter if you ain't come by and you ain't changed your father's diaper in 5 days. He's sitting there just because you came by and did it once. You accept that as being right, man. That's not righteous. You're supposed to honor your parents in their old age and take care of them. That's what that precept means, right? Let's drop that. Let's go to, I did say I wanted to get another precept about this syncretism. I know I'm probably saying it wrong. Let's see. Boom. All right. All right, let's go to the first book of First Maccabees. And all right, let's go to verse 40, the book of Maccabees, First Maccabees 1 and verse 39. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. This is what happened to the land of Israel once these heathens came in. Antiochus, Epiphanes coming in, changing all these rules, destroying our people, murdering our people, doing all these evil things to us because we as a nation didn't want to synchronize and come together with him and put Zeus on top of our temple to say they're the same type of God, right? And this is what he was trying to do. It was called Hellenism, right? Hellenistic period. Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus or Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. This sounds a lot like America. Today, where we live in America, this is the land of the melting pots, where everyone can become one nation under God, indivisible. This is what they're trying to teach. This is what they're trying to brainwash you into accepting. And where did they get this from? They got this from the ancient Greeks, right? Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. So they said, you know what? We're going to become one nation. We're going to be one people. And we're going to have one culture. All of our gods, we're going to abandon those and just make them one God. And that's really what Christianity's mission. They took it to the max when they took Christianity. And the cold part about it is the piece to the puzzle that the Greeks didn't have, that the Romans found, was that in order to really unite all people, they needed our book to do it. That's how powerful this Bible is that they found out that there is no story that's more superior than the God of the Israelites. And so they're going to have to use this story in order to get everybody to unite and to then really destroy the true meaning and essence of this Bible and destroy our people at the same time. Because they know we wouldn't really follow anything else. In essence, we always try to come back to this. So they said, if you can't beat them, join them. The more and more they kept killing the prophets of the Lord after Christ died, the bigger his following became, the more people came into the truth. So they said, you know what? We can't beat these people. We're going to have to join these people and destroy it from the inside out, man. And that's a historic thing they have always done. When you can't beat them, join them, right? And that's what you're seeing with fake Israelites. They really couldn't beat the UPK, so they joined the UPK so they could leave the UPK and start some fake Israelite group and destroy the people that should be coming into the truth, man. That's what they've done. That's what you're seeing in purple over there. You're seeing a police officer that found out the UPK couldn't be stopped. So you know what? They had to join the UPK, leave the UPK, and change the UPK. Now you're singing gospel songs, sounding like Kirk Franklin, and you've been bamboozled right back into the goddamn Christian church. That's what's happened to y'all, brothers, man. Y'all put on the purple, y'all put on the fringes, y'all got rid of the Lashawan Kodash. You don't say the Lord's name, you don't say Yahweh Shai. You went over there and you are in the goddamn Christian church wearing purple, being a part of a fake Israelite group. This is why we say it. And you know, when I first came into the truth, my first time hearing that, I'm like, man, that's kind of harsh. You know what I mean? When you first come into the truth, it's certain things everybody has to, you know. One West is so unique. It's so separate from everyone else. It's so sanctified. It's so holy. I don't even want to use that word, sanctified, even though that's in the Bible. That sounds Christian in its own self. Salaki. But it's so separate, man, from everyone else that if you know what everyone else is doing, since they're the majority, you think that the UPK is tripping. Everyone else out there is saying shalom, you might think that's the norm and that's what's right. So when the UPK says shalom, you think that they're trying to separate themselves and do something different. But in reality, it's them that are trying to separate themselves from us, right? And so when they go off and start adding all these things, separating themselves, you hearing us call them fake Israelites, me hearing that for the first time, like, damn, how they a fake Israelite? We all Israelite. I'm an Israelite. You an Israelite. This person over here is an Israelite. How are you a fake? By bloodline, you are Israelite. But didn't really understand the spirit of why brothers are saying that. And matter of fact, let me get that right here too. I think that's John. Is that John in the 10th chapter? Where's that at? This is why we call them fake Israelites, man. This is one of the many precepts. But this is John 7. Hold on. I'm looking for. So we'll go ahead and look it up real quick. There's a difference between being a bloodline Israelite and actually being a true Israelite. It's John 1. That's all I'm looking at. John 1 and 47. This is how Christ talked about this brother right here. The book of John, chapter 1, we'll start at verse 45. Philip findeth Nathanael and said unto him, We have found him of whom Moses and the law and the prophets did write, Yahushua of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. And Nathanael said unto him, Can there any good thing come out of Nazareth? Philip said unto him, Come and see. Verse 47. Yahushua saw Nathanael coming to him and said of him, Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom is no guile. Why is he saying this? He's saying an Israelite indeed because all of these people were claiming, you know what I mean, to be Israelites because of their bloodline, but they weren't being Israelites indeed. They were full of guile. He didn't have any guile. He didn't have any trickery, any deceit, any lies. And these are all the things we learn in our communities to this day. Growing up in the ghetto, growing up in poverty, you learn how to use guile, finesse, trickery. These things we almost think are part of our culture, and that's how they were rocking and getting down back then, right? But Christ said, man, this brother ain't got no guile in him. He ain't got no trickery in him. He has the spirit of the Lord. He's an Israelite indeed, right? In action. So, boom. Let's drop that. Where we're going to go to next. Let's go to, like I said, matter of fact, we'll keep it basic. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and verse, let's see, we start at 27 and 1, matter of fact. I'll show you that these laws, the importance of them, and it is not a religion, right? And Moses with the elders of Israel commanded the people, saying, keep all the commandments which I command you this day. All right. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 in verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. These laws, statutes, and commandments were given to the children of Israel as the cheat code to life. This is what separates us from all the other nations. Deuteronomy 4 and 6, it says, this is your wisdom among the nations, in front of the nations. They will say are such a wise and understanding people, because the laws that are given to us show that the Lord is with the children of Israel. You know what? Why am I saying that? Because America is supposed to be such a great nation of people. It's supposed to be such an honorable, the most wealthy nation on earth. America the Great. But the laws in America are always changing. The laws in America, you find out, have flaws in them, have loopholes in them, have ways for people to cheat the system in them, have ways for people to hurt and harm people within the very laws in America. One being slavery. That was on the books. You are 3/5 of a man. That was on the books. You understand what I'm saying? And then they changed it up, the 13th Amendment. And if you commit a crime, you can go right back into slavery in America. All these things they say they're supposed to be against, all these things they do. Now we can clearly see the destruction that comes from America. They made it legal for you to get high. They made it legal for you to be LGBT. They made it legal for you all to get married. They made it legal for all these things. Their law is not perfect. Their law destroys people. You follow the laws of America, not saying that you shouldn't follow all the laws that are lawful, but if you believe that these laws are right that are unlawful, you'll be destroyed right along with this place, right? So we follow all the laws that go, that the laws of the land that don't interrupt with you following the laws of God. But if they start making laws where you have to break the laws of God, then no, we're not following that, right? But these people, they see these laws change and they do it, and they become a destroyed place. This is why you see homelessness. This is why you see prostitution. This is why you see drug dealing, drug addicts all over this country, because this place and the laws that are here are not perfect. And that's where all the laws of all the different nations of the earth, we find out that they're not perfect. So much so, even the fake small hats that try to act like they follow the laws of God have put themselves on top of the entire planet Earth, just mimicking and acting like they're keeping these laws in some way, shape, or form. It's showing you how powerful this is. So when the Lord says he's going to put you above all nations, this is a fact. This is an absolute fact. We follow these laws, we will be above all nations, not only because of what's in us physically, the spirit he put in us, but actually our culture will be superior to everyone else, because we won't be a nation full of sin. We will be a nation of priests and kings. All right, let's drop down to verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Right? And we can go through the curses and all that, but these things right here are very important. The curses is just as important as the blessings, because the curses are about accountability. That's what Adam tried to evade, was accountability. That's what we talk about here in the UPK, in-house. See, a lot of people get it confused, right? because we go out on the streets and we talk about what the oppressor has done to the children of Israel, the crimes he's committed against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They take that and they think that's all that we teach, right? But what we're doing is we're showing you have an enemy, and that's what unites brothers. We're showing you have an identity. That's what unites brothers. We're showing you have a culture, and that's what corrects brothers and guides brothers and sisters on the way to carry ourselves. And once we do that, then we will internally, hold each other accountable. We will make each other responsible for our behavior and hold us to that. But they always want to hear, oh, you just talking about what the oppressor's doing. Y'all not fixing the problems within our community. But these laws here are what keeps us accountable. And when you don't, the curses are what keeps us accountable. You understand? The curses that come from this book is saying, hey, you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have to change up. You're going to have to switch up unless you want to keep going in this direction, right? All right, so boom, let's drop that. Let's go to the book of Judith. Let's see what chapter we're going to be at. It's chapter 5. So go a little bit further. The book of Judith, chapter 5, and we'll start at verse 11. Therefore, the king of Egypt rose up against them and dealt subtly with them and brought them low with laboring in brick and made them slaves. Then they cried unto their power, and he smote all the land of Egypt with incurable plagues. So the Egyptians cast them out of their sight. And this is what we are praying for to happen again. This is why we come into the Lord's Passover, to remember the time that we were delivered out of the hands of the stinking Egyptians, out of the hands of them goddamn Hamites, man, and given our freedom. But the way we got our freedom wasn't picking up guns and doing all this. We let the Lord handle our battle, and the Lord defeated our enemies who no one thought could be defeated. We had to cry unto the Lord. This is what we got to do. This is why we all got to come together this year, man. If you in a fake Israelite group, you need to leave that alone. You need to come together and join back into this one body, man. Because what that really is doing when you are teaching division, when you're teaching, what's the word? Salakia. When you're having, what's another word from a division? Oh, you're having schisms. When you're teaching it's okay to have schisms on schisms on schisms, breakoffs on breakoffs on breakoffs, you're dividing the church. And what you're doing is what was talked about in 1 John. We're going to get that precept next, right? Where John said, don't bid them Godspeed, all right? So let's go. Judith chapter 5 and verse, where did I leave off? Verse 13. And the Most High dried the Red Sea before them and brought them to Mount Sinai and Kadesh Barn and cast forth all that dwelt in the wilderness. He got rid of all the heathens for us. He cleared out the land, right? So they dwelt in the land of the Amorites, and they destroyed by their strength all them of Esbon. And passing over Jordan, they possessed all the hill country. Where do we get our strength from? Where do we get our courage from? Where do we get our braveness from? It's from following the Lord, following the Most High, following the priests and prophets, man, that were leading us. And they cast forth before them the Canaanite, the Pharisite, the Jebusite, the Sychemite, and the Girgazites. And they dwelt in that country many days. They had to get rid of all these nations, man. But we did it with the Lord being on our side. Verse 17. And whilst they sinned not before their power, they prospered, because the power that hated, because the Most High that hated iniquity was with them. That's why you hear this in the UPK all the time, man. The Lord is with us. The Lord is with him. The Lord was not with him. You want to have the Lord on your side, because if the Lord is with you, you will be undefeated. If the Lord is not with you, you're going to be destroyed. It's plain and simple. Every dog has his day. This is how we can speak so confidently. It's not a question of if, it's when these purple bandits are gonna lose everything that they built up. It's not an if, it's a when it's gonna happen. We know this is going to happen because they teach doctrines of men. They don't teach the Bible. They don't teach the laws of God. What if they're not teaching the laws of God, then what are they teaching? This is why we say we're the only home of the truth. Like, there's only one truth. There's only one way to teach it. If you're not in the truth, then you're not in the truth. You're in a lie. If you're in a lie, you're teaching what? You're teaching the ways of Satan. You're teaching the ways of the oppressor. That's what they're doing. They are anti-Christ. They're against Christ because Christ came to unite all of Israel. How is it that Paul is going to say he's praying that all Israel could be saved? How is Israel going to be saved? In a different fake Israelite group over here, and the Jehovah's Witness over there, in a Baptist church over here, in the Methodist church over there, in the Muslim mosque over here? How is all Israel going to be saved if you divide it against each other, man? It's not going to work. You cannot be saved believing different doctrines. There's only one truth, and we would definitely have at least some modicum of respect, at least, if you had enough belief in what the hell you believe in to say you're the home of the truth too. At least do that. But nah, you're not even brave enough to do that because you know you're not the home of the truth. So you make concessions. You concede and say we can have a unity camp. We can deal with this people. We can do that. You want to unite because you're not strong enough to say, you know what? They're not going to like me if I say that we're the home of the truth. You want popularity. You want to fellowship. And the hell with all that, man. We're not trying to fellowship. We're trying to go to war in the UPK, man. We're preparing soldiers up here for war. Could you imagine? You understand? I can't even think of what that would look like. Like, what are they trying to say, man? I can't even describe what the hell they're doing. I mean, it's just Christianity. That's the only way you can describe it, man. It's just Christianity. But the reason why we were doing good is because the Lord was with us. Verse 18. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. But now are they returned to their power, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Like, once they return, we return back into our ways of the Most High, following these laws. Then we were put back in our land. Then we were put back ruling and running the temple, right? Verse 20. Now, therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. These heathens have always known this about us. They've always known if we don't follow our laws, we don't obey the laws of God, then we're going to be destroyed. It's plain and simple. But it keeps going. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their power be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. They even understood that this nation of people is a powerful nation of people if they're following these laws. And why am I saying these laws are not a religion? They are our culture. They are our constitution, because you can clearly understand in America today, you obeying any certain law, you stop at a stop sign, you stop at a red light, you pay your taxes, you're not feeling like you're having some religious experience. You don't say, ooh, I stopped at the stop sign. Hallelujah. Ooh, the red light turned green. I'm going to go. Oh, you don't do all that. You don't jump up and down every time you pay your taxes or you follow any laws of God. I went into the store. I didn't steal today. I mean, to follow the laws of the oppressor. Nah, man. You just know, hey, this is how they organize, this is how they structure their people. It just so happens that our organization, our structure, it comes from the Lord and it fixes our people. It guides our people. They just, in their mind, in the American and the carnal way, they think that, long story short, the fact that we were given these laws in a carnal person's mind and someone that doesn't believe in the Lord, they're like, nah, a man made this up. Basically, that's what they're trying to tell us, man. That a man just went somewhere and made up all these laws. But we start to see, why would they say you cannot eat a bat 4,000 years ago? Like, people were not hungry at these times. Why would they tell you shouldn't eat catfish? Why would they tell you shouldn't eat some other animals? The pig, the swine. There's a lot of pig, a lot of swine running around. You mean to tell me people were hungry? We're starving in these days. You not gonna eat a pig? Like, this is why you see the Moabite. That's how you know they was hungry. There's some hungry and disgusting people. That's how they grew to be 1 billion goddamn strong people, because they'll eat anything. You understand? These other nations, they ain't growing like them Moabites, because people will be like, all right, man, I'm not resorting to that. I'm probably just gonna go ahead and die over here. It's not chicken. It ain't no beef. I'm good. They eating any and everything under the sun to survive. They were hungry, poor people running around like a bunch of animals, right? They doing it to this day, and they going eating pangolin and they eating bats. And guess what? They got COVID-19 spread around the whole entire place, the whole entire planet, shut the whole world down, right? Doing something that our God told us not to do 4,000 years ago. Gave these rules and laws to Adam, gave these rules and laws to Noah, gave these rules and laws to Moses, and we put it down, and we have been knowing certain things are right and certain things are wrong. Laws about mold and how it can destroy your house. You got to take the whole house down if it's got an issue with mold. How to separate and quarantine people if they got this certain issue coming out of their body. You understand? All these things we have been doing, because these are not just random laws that put together some brother went into the woods and made up. These are highly intelligent, scientific, sociological, psychological, every type of aspect of society can be found in these laws. You understand? And they will build a perfect nation if you obey them. But let me see, anything else we're gonna get on to. Drop that. When is it, Judah? Just a few more things. I was thinking, let's go to the book of Micah and we'll close out on that. It's gonna be a little bit shorter class, but the water for rocking with us tonight. We're just gonna hold us down. Let's see. We'll be right back tomorrow with the Thursday scripture breakdown. Come with your questions. Be prepared. Let's get it. All right, let's see right here. This book of Micah is going into the punishment and destructions that comes to the children of Israel for disobeying our power. Let's see. It's a lot. So Micah 1 and 8. Let's go to the book of Micah, chapter 1, verse 5. For the transgression of Jacob is all this, and for the sins of the house of Israel What is the transgression of Jacob? Is it not Samaria? And what are the high places of Judah? Are they not Jerusalem? These are the things that the brothers were doing. They were breaking the laws in Jerusalem, in Samaria, which is the northern kingdom. Therefore, I will make Samaria as an heap of the field, and as plantings of a vineyard, and I will pour down the stones thereof into the valley, and I will discover the foundations thereof. And all the graven images thereof shall be beaten to pieces, and all the hires thereof shall be burned with the fire, and all the idols thereof will I lay desolate. For she gathered it of the hire of an harlot, and they shall return to the hire of an harlot. This is how you gathered all these items from living in sin, being a disgusting nation of people. Well, now you're going to return and have to live like a disgusting nation of people amongst these heathens, right? You want to follow them? Well, now you're going to actually have to follow them and be underneath them. Verse 8, therefore I will wail and howl, I will go stripped and naked. So like that one, we're not going to go there. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go to Micah 1, let's see, verse 16. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to go to... Let's go to Micah chapter 2, verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. This is the Christian church right here, man. People always waking up and the next evil thing on their mind. Like every movie they show you, them brothers, they can't even get out the bed without lighting up a blunt. Snoop Dogg in that movie To Watch, he didn't even brush his teeth. He done gone and already sparked up a blunt. You know what I mean? Like you wake up with evil on your mind. This is because you're following the ways of your oppressor. You follow the ways of the white man, the so-called white man. And so we devise iniquity. What is iniquity? Iniquity is sin. What is sin? Transgression of the law. Verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man and his heritage. Like these are the things that we started to do. We started to do this to our own people, our own brothers. Like when we started off small, before we went into Egypt, small nation, 70 souls. This is like a tribe for real, family orientated. And even then, they still did evil amongst their brother. But being in that close-knit environment, it's kind of a max on how or what you would do to each other. But as we started to grow and become a nation of people, now you don't really look at this, brother. Like, you know your family, but it's like, okay, is that really my family? It's just somebody that we all live around here. We all come from the same group, but damn that's just another nigga. And if I can take his house, I'm gonna take his house. I'm gonna get over on him. I'm gonna get over on him. Just like how we live today. Like we run around the streets and we run around the neighborhoods, especially out here in the Bay. We call all of the dope heads and the dope fiends auntie and uncle. Auntie and uncle. What's up, aunt? What's up, auntie? How you doing, auntie? We acknowledging that we know we family. We call each other cousin. What's happening, cuz? What's good, cousin? How you doing, blood? What's going on, blood? We acknowledge in our mind that we family. We know we Israelites. We know we're related, but we don't treat each other like Israelites. Because you're going to join a gang and say, you know, what's up, cuz? This is my cousin. And go to war with the Bloods when they your cousins too. But the Bloods, they're the only ones that's family related to each other. Cuz we're the only ones that's related to each other over here. In reality, all y'all niggas is cousins. How is it y'all going to do this? Viva la raza. The Mexican brothers, they didn't call themselves La Raza. They all about La Raza, being Mexican, right? But then they kill each other. If you're Norteño Serrano, if you're a Brown Pride, Border Brother, you going to go to war with your own people, but you all claim to be La Raza. That's what we was doing back in the Bible days. We knew we were Israelites, but we were not Israelites indeed. We were not obeying these laws of God. We were doing what we wanted to, right? Verse 3, therefore thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family do I devise an evil from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. In that day shall one take up a parable against you, and lament with a doleful lamentation, and say, we be utterly spoiled. He hath changed the portion of my people. How hath he removed it from me? Turn away, he hath divided our fields. Verse 5, therefore thou shalt have none that shall cast a cord by lot in the congregation of the Lord, or Yahweh. Prophesy ye not, say they to them that prophesy. They shall not prophesy to them, that they shall not take shame. O thou art named the house of Jacob, is the spirit of Yahweh straitened? Are these his doings? Do not my words do good to him that walketh uprightly? Like, the Lord is going to honor and bless those that do what's right. So, but you think he's going to be the other way? You think the Lord is sweet, that you can just get away with doing whatever you want to, and he's still going to bless you? La. Even of late, my people is risen up as an enemy. Ye pull off the robe with the garment from them that pass by securely as men. A verse from more. The women of my people have ye cast out from the pleasant houses. From their children have ye taken away my glory forever. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction. And it goes also in other parts of Micah. I'm not going to go too far. We're reaching at the hour mark. But it goes, if you really get into this book of Micah, I've been reading a lot. It's really explaining how we will be spread all over. Matter of fact, I'm going to go find this verse right here. Right? How we're going to be spread through all the nations and scattered because we can't stay in the land, living disgusting like how we are, like how we were. We had to get out of that land because we're polluting and defiling the land. It's saying, this is not your rest. You can't stay here. You got to go. And this is the experience that we now have to realize. We want to get out of this captivity, out of this slavery. We have to realize that America is not our rest. We can't get comfortable here. We got to get prepared to get out of here. If you get comfortable here, you're going to want to stay here. If you don't realize you're a slave, then you're going to accept reality. This is your reality, right? He's trying to wake us up to that. The book of Micah chapter 5. Let's see, this is the last verses we'll go to. The book of Micah chapter 5 and verse okay, man. Verse 3. All right. This is really important, but I'm just going to skip ahead. Verse 6, the book of Micah chapter 5, verse 6. And they shall waste the land of Assyria with the sword, and the land of Nimrod and the entrances thereof. Thus shall he deliver us from the Assyrian, when he cometh into our land, and when he treadeth within our borders. And the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people, as a dew from Yahweh, as the showers upon the grass, that tarrieth not for man, nor waiteth for the sons of men. And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles, in the midst of many people, as a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of the sheep, who if he goeth through, both treadeth down and teareth in pieces, and none can deliver it. Right? Thine hand shall be lifted up upon thine adversaries, and all thine enemies shall be cut off. Like in these last days, the Lord is saying he is going to deliver us from our enemies, and we're going to be scattered amongst them, and they're going to be destroyed because we're everywhere amongst all these heathens to the four corners of the earth. Like, this is why black people in America, the Black Panthers, when they rose up, they said they were the biggest threat to the American democracy, or whatever they wanted to call it. Because they're like, man, it's one thing to be beefing with North Korea, they way over North Korea. It's one thing to be beefing with China, they over in China. It's one thing to be beefing with the Russians, they over in Russia. We can't be beefing with these Negroes in Washington, D.C., Chocolate City, where this is the capital of the United States of America. The Lord said we're going to be with all throughout all the empires, and that's what's going to bring these empires down, right? I'll just skip down to verse 12. And I will cut off witchcrafts out of thine hand, and thou shalt have no more soothsayers. Thy graven images also will I cut off, and thy standing images out of the midst of thee, and thou shalt no more worship the work of thy hands. And I will pluck up thy groves out of the midst of thee, and I will destroy thy cities. And I will execute vengeance and anger and fury upon the heathen, such as they have not heard. Right? And it goes further into it. It's going to say that we're going to be ruling over all these nations. But how is the Lord going to fix our people? He's going to put a spirit upon us to make us want to come back to our culture, come back to our laws. And that's the thing. We've been through this punishment. Is going to motivate us to never want to go back to where we've been before. And that's why, oftentimes they say, a rich man can't come into the truth. That's what Christ was teaching. That it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven. Because if you were in the world and you rich and you have all this success, it's hard for you to humble yourself and to come into the truth and be told what to do, to go clean up the toilets, to go pick up these crates, to do this and do that. It's hard to humble yourself. But once you've been destroyed, you might have a little motivation to humble yourself. And this is why the penitentiary is full of niggas that want to go to Bible class and Bible study and start reading the Bible. Never wanted to do that a day in the street, want to turn to the Quran. They all want to find God. They want to pray to the Lord to deliver them out of these things, the situation they're in. Because now they see it wasn't worth it. The behavior they did wasn't worth it. That's what we need to get to. That's why we keep getting destroyed in this place, because the Lord is trying to tell you. A few years ago, you having riots and stuff for Black Lives Matter. And in the 80s, they were doing this. In the 70s, they were doing that. In the 60s, they were doing this. In the 1800s, they were doing this to our people. In the 1700s, at what point in time are you going to say enough is enough, crying to the Lord and ask to be delivered? Try something different. Try obeying the laws of God. The Christian church has been doing all it's been doing, the black church, for years and years and years, and our people have been getting more and more destroyed. They get more and more money, more and more checks, and our people becoming worse people. How about we try something different? How about we hear what these Israelite brothers are saying? And that's the spirit the Lord put out into the earth to raise us up here in the UPK, to show our people that following the laws of God is right, and it will fix our problems, and it is our culture, and this is the answer. All right? So with that, I'm going to close out the class. We say Shalom, Yabashim Yashai, Baratham to all the brothers, Yahweh Shamar, Latham Bashim Yashai to all the sisters. All right? Yeah, most I ain't cried much. So we definitely clean people. Yeah, I'm right.